Attention. Attention, please.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Underappreciated Fire Emblem Villains Club. Let's just go around the room and list off our favorite underappreciated Fire Emblem villains. Mine is Shiraham from Path of Radiance. What's yours, me in a baseball cap? This is a football cap. Nobody cares. My favorite underappreciated villain is Edelgard. That's not okay. What about you, me creepy guy in a beanie who watches porn in public? My favorite villain is Geb. You disgust me. Excuse me, but if I may interject, my favorite underappreciated villain is Jedah. Jedah? That's an interesting choice. I'd like to hear your reasoning, but do be warned, I only take opinions in the form of Microsoft Paint slideshows. That is an oddly specific thing, but thankfully I have an oddly convenient skill in that.
Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia was released on April 20th, 2017, and was received with the resounding, you either really love this game or you really hate this game with absolutely no in-between. Personally, this is one of my favorite Fire Emblems, as it took Gaiden and really pumped it up in the art and story department. You got Bowie, Claire, Bowie, May, Bowie. The pump up to its characters were absolutely fantastic. But among all of the character updates, I would argue that Jedah was the one that actually got the biggest improvement out of all of the cast, as he goes from a generic prune serving the evil deity to an incredible foil for Celica, and gives a strong statement on the dangers of overzealous religion, which definitely isn't a lesson that's ever going to lose its impact. But sadly, most people looked at Jedah and went, "Mr. Krabs, that man is blue," and dismissed him, which is just an extension of the blue people racism started by Gargamel in 1959, and before you ask, no, I cannot promise that's the last Smurf joke I'm going to make in this video. Okay, so who is Jedah? What's his story? He's the leader of the Duma Faithful, the group of priests that worship the dragon Duma. However, Duma has become corrupted, as time does this to all divine dragons eventually, and his ideals of strength have started to lead to the suffering and pain of his people. Jedah hopes to use Celica's soul to give Duma more power, and thus free him from the binds of insanity and grant him rule over the world once more. Now, the funny thing about Jedah's motivation is that he doesn't actually want anything for his own personal benefit. His goals and motivations begin and end with Duma. In a sense, Jedah doesn't really have any personal goals. He believes the only way for humanity to survive is Duma's way, so he will do anything in his power to quote-unquote save humanity and bring Duma to his senses. This motive is almost word for word what Celica's motive is. Just replace Duma with Mila, and the two really aren't all that different in terms of their motivation. However, as it is later revealed, such a goal is truly impossible. Duma is long gone. The only way to save Duma is to take his life and create the world of man. The time of the gods has already passed on. However, Jedah can't see that. He doesn't understand that his god cannot lead him anymore. This is what makes him a fantastic foil. He and Celica start the game at the same level of blindness towards their god, and what separates them is how they view their gods at the story's end. Celica, though it takes literally dying to get there, realizes that Mila's light is no more, that she, Alm, and all of mankind must make the steps forward themselves. This is best highlighted in her ending when she, a normal human, is said to be a reincarnation of Mila by the common folk. Her light leads the way, and hers alone. However, Jedah rejects such a word as heretical, and clings to Duma to his final breath. Literally, his final breath, the last word out of his mouth is Duma. So, okay, he's a great foil, but there's another point that I want to bring up. He isn't really evil. He doesn't do terrible things for selfish reasons. Everything he does is to help Duma, which in turn he believes will help the world. Now, I already hear you say, he sacrificed his daughter's souls to Duma. How the fuck can you say he isn't evil? To which I say that is a very common misconception and not quite what he did. His exact line to Sonia is, "Their souls were offered to Duma freely, and both received endless bliss in turn." Now I want you to look at that sentence. Okay, now I want you to look closer at that sentence. Closer. Closer. Oh, fuck, that hurts to look at. Anyways, you see the point I'm trying to make here? Freely. Jedah didn't sacrifice their souls, they gave them to Duma of their own volition. Now, call me a 10 PowerPoint move that does 90 damage with a 10% chance to lower special defense because I already can see you saying, but he was probably lying. And to that I offer a counterpoint. Hestia, when she is killed, remarks, I should have just lived as I pleased like you. The wording should have implies that she had a choice in the matter. After all, if she didn't have a choice, wouldn't she have said something like, I wish I could have lived as I pleased, or something like that? To boot, Marla, her sister, shows no such disdain towards Jedah that Sonya does, and in fact even feels that those who oppose him are misguided children. These aren't daughters who are being forced by an evil father, though one of them definitely comes to regret their decision. They aren't slaves to him, they're there of their own free will. Were there of their own free will. I don't think they have very much of it left now. And again, I can hear the complaint, but he tried to kill Celica's entire army. He expressly states that his reason for doing so is that they will meddle in Celica's sacrifice and stop her from doing it, which, by the way, is completely correct in what almost happens when she tries to offer her soul to Jedah. Also, they're an army of Milla right at his front doorstep. Like, what the fuck is he supposed to do? Crack open a cold one and drink the night away? Like, come on, guys. Jedah represents Duma's will to an exaggerated degree. People must suffer and feel pain before they can understand what happiness truly is. And while that's not untrue per se, it is only one side of it. Duma's strength and Mila's kindness were two sides of the same coin, and while Alm and Celica were willing to accept both ideals into their lives and move on, Jedah continued to only see one side of it, and that unwillingness to change is what ultimately led to his downfall. And Jedah's downfall is a lesson that will never truly lose its meaning. People need to be able to move on as new ideas and beliefs start to take over the old ones. Even though Jedah was genuinely trying to help humanity, his refusal to look past his own beliefs meant he was still wrong, and had to be brought down for it. In the end, the age of man was at hand, and Alm and Celica would make sure that it wouldn't become corrupted like the gods. Oh hey, Walhart, when did you get here? But sadly, people look at his design and don't pay any attention to what he says. His misguided ideas of right and wrong are thrown to the side, and he's just assumed to be evil for evil's sake like all the other evil prunes. And that's a real shame in my opinion. Next time you play Echoes, pay attention to what Jedah says and why he does what he does, rather than just looking at what he does. He's not like Arvis or Leon levels of understandable and sympathetic, but he's definitely not as evil for evil's sake as Garnet or Valadar.
And that's what I think about Jedah. I think he's a really misunderstood villain. So you think he's a magical boomer? I guess, if you want to oversimplify what I just said. Well, while I am skeptical, you put your thoughts in a video format, and as we all know, people whose opinions are in a YouTube video mean more than people's opinions who are out of a YouTube video. Well, I thank you for understanding. Though this was awfully short, I need to make the video longer somehow. Maybe you should just, put live action segments to bookend it so you pad out the time and make it look like you did more than you actually did? That is a good idea.